apologize. Today's presentation is for educational purposes. We are not going to provide tax or financial advice on today's webinar. Also, please like this video as it helps us to get the word out of this important information to solopreneurs, self-employed persons like yourself. So again, we're going to talk about how is a solo 401k funded? Well, there are various methods to fund a solo 401k plan. One method is to do an in-kind transfer. And an in-kind transfer is where you have assets already held in your IRA or a former employer 401k, or even an existing solo 401k. So for instance, let's say you hold some stocks in an IRA over at Schwab or Fidelity or any other financial institution, and you do not want to liquidate those stocks or holdings, but you do want to transfer that IRA over to the solo 401k plan. Well, when you transfer those securities in kind, along with the cash, over to the solo 401k through an internal transfer, that's known as an in-kind transfer. So an in-kind transfer is when you actually transfer the assets held in that IRA or former employer plan, for example. Let's see here. Looks like we have a live question here. Let's take a look at that and then we'll come back here. We'll keep going over this presentation. So we got a question here. Which of the three accounts the brokerage is for voluntary after contributions? Is it Roth or pre-tax? Great question. So if you open a solo 401k plan and you used our company to open it, then, and if you used Fidelity or Schwab, for example, then you should have three separate brokerage accounts under that solo 401k that we would have helped you to open for the plan that we provide. So the three brokerage accounts would be the Roth solo 401k brokerage account. The second one would be the pre-tax solo 401k brokerage account. And the third one would be the voluntary after-tax solo 401k brokerage account. Because keep in mind, you need to have separate holding accounts for each solo 401k and each solo 401k source. So here's an example of make this bigger here. Here's an example of a solo 401k plan where you have two participants in the plan. So it's just one plan. Here, let's say both spouses are participating in the same plan. Let's further assume they both are self-employed in the same business. That's an LLC, for instance. Here's an example of 6 separate brokerage accounts. So one plan, 6 separate bank or brokerage accounts in the name of the plan to hold each participant's funds. One is a pre-tax bucket, the second one is a Roth bucket, and the third one is the voluntary after-tax bucket. So if you're doing a mega backdoor conversion, when you're going to convert the funds to the Roth solo 401k, you would make the voluntary after-tax contribution to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k, and then it would get converted to the Roth solo 401k as part of the mega backdoor strategy. So hopefully that answers your question. Got another question here. Does it count as part of the total contribution when you transfer your IRA to the solo 401k? Great question, and the answer is no. When you transfer a IRA to the solo 401k plan, that's not considered a contribution. That's considered a transfer. Therefore, there's no limit. You can transfer as little from an IRA or as much from an IRA as you want to the solo 401k plan. For instance, the annual solo 401k contribution limit for 2025 is $70,000. Well, let's say you have a IRA that has a few $100,000. That can be transferred to the solo 401k plan without impacting your annual contribution limit. So the annual contribution limit is not based on your IRA or 401k balance that you transfer over or on the transfers. It's rather based on your net self-employment income. So if you have enough net self-employment income in 2025, you can contribute 70,000 to the solo 401k plan. Or if you're looking to contribute for 2024, which you still have time, then it would be a $69,000 contribution. So good question. Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going here. So we just talked about the in-kind transfer. Again, we're talking about the how you can fund a solo 401k plan. So there are various funding methods. We just discussed the in-kind transfer method. Now there's also a cash transfer. So a cash transfer is where you transfer cash that's held in a former employer plan or an IRA. It's not, in other words, you can't just transfer cash from your personal account or bank account under a cash transfer. Now you can make a contribution to the solo 401k as an annual contribution that's done through a cash transfer. But here, when we talk about cash transfer, we're specifically talking about transferring cash from an existing IRA or a former employer plan. That's where you transfer those funds over to the solo 401k. There's also something called an in-kind direct rollover, and that's similar to an in-kind transfer. In-kind transfer language is technically used more if you're transferring out another 401k. Let's say a former employer 401k, and you're transferring the assets held in that former employer 401k, or even in a solo 401k that you want to restate over to the solo 401k plan. An in-kind direct rollover is technically where you have an IRA, whether it's a SEP IRA, simple IRA, or traditional IRA, and that IRA has assets like stocks or mutual funds. Those can be transferred in kind to the solo 401k without having to liquidate those stocks or index or index funds or exchange traded funds. So it's a way to not have to liquidate your positions, because you might have some positions that you really don't want to sell at this time, especially if the market's doing well or if the market's doing bad. Another method of funding a solo 401k plan is an in-kind direct rollover. Excuse me, we just went over we went over the in-kind direct rollover already. It's the 60-day cash rollover. That one there is not the ideal way to move funds from an IRA to a solo 401k plan, because with the 60-day cash rollover, you basically take a taxable distribution from your IRA where the funds from that IRA get deposited directly into your personal bank account. You then have 60 days from the date that you received that check in the mail or that the funds were directly deposited to that personal bank account. You have 60 days to move those funds to the solo 401k plan. If you don't move those funds from that personal bank account, once you've deposited those IRA distribution funds to that account, then you're going to have a taxable distribution on your hands. So the IRS gets nervous when individuals do a 60-day cash rollover because the funds are being deposited to your personal bank account first, and then you have 60 days to deposit those to the solo 401k. And what is more, anytime you transfer funds from an IRA to a solo 401k plan or any 401k for that matter, and if you do it as a direct rollover, as opposed to a 60-day rollover, there's going to be a code that's going to be used on that Form 1099-R, which is the form that the IRA institution or custodian issues to report the movement of those funds from the IRA. So if it's done as a direct rollover, where the check or the funds are directly deposited to the solo 401k, the IRA custodian is going to use a code G in that box 7, which lets the IRS know that it was a non-taxable direct rollover. Now, if you do it as a 60-day cash rollover, the IRA custodian will still issue that Form 1099-R, but instead of using a code G, they're going to use a code 7 or a code 1, depending on your age. The code 7 is used to report the IRA as a distribution, so the movement of those funds as a distribution if you're age 59 and a half or older, whereas the code 1 is for those who are under age 59 and a half. And then that's where you only have 60 days to move those funds to that solo 401k after they've been deposited to your personal bank account. So then once you get that 1099-R with that code 1 or code 7, it's going to be on you to then go and file the Form 1040. There's a line number there. I don't remember the line number, but there you're going to have to report that 60-day rollover as a non-taxable rollover. So it's not a good idea to do a 60-day cash rollover unless you really have to. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, the above funding methods do not affect the solo 401k annual contribution limits. In other words, you can transfer or roll over as little or as much as you want from IRAs or former employer plans without affecting your annual solo 401k contribution limit. So again, the annual solo 401k contribution limit, that's another way of funding a solo 401k is by making an annual contribution. And you can make a contribution up to the overall limit, which is $70,000. It's a tax year 2025, for example. All right, let's see here. Again, please like this video as it helps to get the word out, especially this important information to other solopreneurs, self-employed persons like you. We've noticed that the number of self-employed persons increases every day. So we appreciate your participation in helping to get this important information out to others like you. So we have another question here from off topic. For simple situation, do I need to file Form 3800 for annual credit? So regarding the auto contribution credit, you're going to file Form 88. Let me see, it's 8801. Pull up some information on that. Good question. Moving here. So there's the $1,500 auto contribution credit, which applies to solo 401k plans. So if you open a solo 401k plan now, you're going to qualify for a $1,500 dollar for dollar credit from the government. The government is essentially subsidizing your solo 401k fees for many years to come. And to claim that credit, which is claimed over 3 years in $500 increments, so it's $1,500 total for during a 3-year period. So if you open the solo 401k plan in 2024, for example, you can claim a $500 credit with your 2024 taxes that are due now. And then you would do another $500 claim next year, or excuse me, another one for 2025 and a final one in 2026. So a total of $500 over 3 years. The first one for tax year 2024, the second one for tax year 2025, and the third one for tax year 2026, and you claim that credit by filing Form 8881. Now, we do have a walkthrough PowerPoint and video that we can share with our clients that you can share with your CPA when you complete that Form 8881, which takes about 5 minutes to complete. And that's how you claim that auto contribution credit. Now, existing clients also qualify. The auto contribution credit wasn't available till the end of 2023, the end of December. So if you open the solo 401k plan with us prior to December, prior to the end of December of 2023, we can add that auto contribution credit to your plan, and you don't have to contribute to the plan to qualify for it. And you'll be able to claim that credit over 3 years in $500 increments for a total of $1,500. Another question here. How do I get an EIN number for a solo 401k plan? Well, that's something we help our clients obtain as part of the next steps. When you complete the next steps questionnaire, we typically will do it for our clients because we found that clients that try to do it themselves will go down the wrong path and get the wrong EIN number. So it's better if you have us obtain that EIN number for you, and that's handled as part of our setup process. And the EIN number is obtained for the solo 401k plan. So you want to make sure that you get that you obtain that EIN number properly. So it's best if you have us obtain that EIN number for the plan for you, because if you get it, you might choose the wrong option. You got to make sure you choose the option of 401k, not trust or any other type. So let's see if I can find a link for those who are hard-headed about doing it themselves. So here's a page on our website where we have instructions on how to get that EIN number yourself, step-by-step instructions. But again, it's better if you have us do it because you want to make sure you check off the box that reads employer plan. That's the one you want to select. I'm sharing that page with you now. Okay, well, we've come to the end of our time here today. I don't see any more questions. As always, we appreciate you joining today's daily webinar, and please like this video to help us get the word out to other solopreneurs like you. Oh, it looks like we have one more question that popped in here. If account is open and funded now, do I still qualify for $500 auto contribution credit for 2024? Great question. No, you would not. Even though you can open the plan now and you can make contributions for 2024, the auto contribution credit rules are different. It's the contribution rules that allow you to contribute to the plan here in 2025 for 2024 by your business tax return due date plus timely filed extension. If you open the plan now, even though you can contribute for 2024, the auto contribution credit would be effective for 2025. So you can claim $500 on your 2025 taxes, another $500 on your 2026 taxes, and a final $500 on your 2027 taxes. Another question here. If I had a plan previous and closed last year, can I open another plan this year? No, probably not. And the reason I say probably not is because there's an IRS rule called the cooling off period, which is put in place to keep individuals from churning their solo 401k plans. It's called the cooling off period or the successor plan rule. Let me share that link with you here. Essentially, what that rule states is that if you open this, or if you had a solo 401k plan, for example, last year, and you closed it last year, where you took a distribution or transferred it to an IRA, for instance, then you have to wait 12 months from the date that those funds were fully distributed from that solo 401k plan before you can open another solo 401k plan. So this link here, which I think I just shared on the live session here, goes over those regulations. So take a look at that. Let me make sure I shared that. Yeah, I did share that here. Okay, great. Well, again, thank you for joining today's daily webinar, and have a good rest of the day.